Alrighty, another morning here in paradise. I have started laying out a bit of wiring, getting a few bits and bobs sorted out, working out where everything's going, uh, getting it sorted. But anyway, what I'm doing here is I'm going to start a new chapter in this whole saga, and I'm going to be starting the engine build. Now this is a bit of an unusual engine, you may or may not know. It's going to be a 6G74, but it's going to have 30M Diamante mivec 3-litre heads on it. So this is what I've got. This is going to be I suppose you'd call it a phase 1 build. This engine is out of a Australian Diamante Magna 3.5 litre block. You know, it sounds like somebody's coming. Carry on. Anyway, this engine is a completely stock motor. It's got stock pistons in it. I haven't pulled it apart, I haven't touched it, so it's the stock short block. Haven't pulled it apart. Standard pistons, standard compression, which I think is quite low. I think it's under 10 anyway. You can see the pistons there have got no valve reliefs cut in them, and they're sort of semi dished piston. So I'm saying the compression will be pretty low. The whole engine and transmission cost me like $200, so it's done like 200,000 k. And we'll just what I'm planning on doing is putting the engine together with this block as it is, running as low as boost as possible, and getting the whole car running, proof of concept, make sure it's all going to work out or not, and then if it's all going to work out, then I will be building a high horsepower motor with some rods and pistons and a bit of balancing. So that's the block, and over in this mess here we have the 30M mivec heads. They've all been stripped down, cleaned. They were absolutely chocker with crud, as most of them are from what I've seen. These heads are pretty rare, really hard to get hold of. They're a true twin cam, quad cam, mivec head with high and low lift. These are the mivec rockers, and this thing was in a bit of these heads were in a bit of bad shape, same as what's on the engine over there. But these are the ones I've cleaned up for now to see if I can get the whole thing to work. Everything's been ultrasonically cleaned, and the issue I've got is it's a bit dark over here, but these cams, they were a bit rusty. They weren't stored properly from the guy I bought them off, and they were a little bit cruddy. I've polished them up in the lathe with them very, very fine wet and dry, and they've come up pretty good. Right, here comes somebody again. Alright, back into it again. Keep on getting interrupted. Now, so yeah, these cams are a bit worse for wear, a bit rusty. I've polished them up. They've come up okay. I'm not too worried at this stage for this motor. I do have another set of good ones in a car outside that's still working, they're still running. They should be alright. And the other good thing about it is the cam runs on roller rockers, so there's no sort of like true rubbing friction type actuation of the valves. It's all rollered, so that should help a little bit in that department. So yeah, so I've got everything laid out, and it's a matter of working out what I'm going to do. My biggest concern is with this engine is that the pistons don't have any valve reliefs cut out on them, and I'm concerned that there might be no piston to valve clearance on the high lift cam. So we'll have to see what happens. Or what I'm going to do is I'm going to piece a head together very gently, just with 4 valves in it and light springs, mock assemble it, and find a belt that fits. I've got a belt there that will hopefully fit, and get it sort of pretty close to being timed up, and then I will run it, turn it over, and see how much sort of valve to piston clearance I have on the higher lift cam especially, and go from there. So that's my next move. Dummy assemble a head with 4 valves in it only on 1 cylinder, and go through it all, check my valve to piston clearance. If that's okay, get myself a set of new head gaskets for it and assemble properly. So we'll get into it. Okay, so first stage, I've assembled up my rockers into the cam plate on both heads, so everything's good there. And I've just set up number 1 cylinder here with its elephant feet and its little retainers, because what I'm planning to do is dummy assemble the engine with just 4 valves in it on 1 cylinder. I've put them in here with very weak valve springs, and the reason being is so that I can manually check our clearances, piston to valve clearances, while running it through top dead center on that cylinder, just because I'm worried about these pistons, like we talked about before, have no valve reliefs cut out on them. So I'll dummy assemble it up. I've got some old head gaskets there, sit it together, and we'll try and get the thing timed up basically, and go from there. Okay, so we've got the heads stuck on, we've got the cam plates on, and we've got the cams in, and we've just got a couple of one there just to support the cams in place. They're all turning, doing their thing, and same on this side. Cams are in, cam plates on. All we're doing is just supporting everything so we can get the thing timed up and check our valve to piston clearance. So now I'm going to try and assemble up a water pump, a couple of tensioners here and there, bottom cam gear, bottom crank gear, and all the cam gears. So we'll do that, see if we can fit a belt on, and see if it'll fit or do something. Eh? Awesome. Well, it's not often I get quite excited like this, but I've skipped a few steps ahead. I haven't videoed it, but what I've done is I've assembled the motor, dummy assembled it, and I've put a belt on it. I've put all the crap on the front here. It's all rusty and horrible, but it's just to set it up. I've got new bits coming, and believe it or not, the belt fits. If anybody wants to know in the future, it's a what has it got there? Gates T253, and it is actually a belt for one of these motors. It's for a Pajero Evo, so no wonder it fitted, and everything. I was quite surprised. I thought there might have been some differences with the bottom end or something to a Pajero Evo engine, but everything seems to have fitted quite well. In terms of belt length, I haven't got a tensioner on there. Yeah, where is it? So it's just, but there's going to work once it's in there. That's fine. a new one obviously. Yeah, for a start, I cannot believe it, but this belt just went straight on. Everything's sort of nipped into place. Water pump, idler pulley there, tension has just been left how it was. And we've got timing marks, we've got marks lined up there, top dead center. It's come up here and it's timed up perfectly. That pulley, the water pump's in its original position and it's timed up perfectly and perfectly. So as far as, come on focus, as far as timing this engine up, I'm pretty happy with all that, and its current state, I would be happy to run it like that. I'm not going to go too extreme on this one with a dial indicator and everything, because I'm pretty happy. Everything seems to be lining up pretty well. And underneath the rocker cover, I'll just take that off. So what I've done is there's no valves in anywhere except for this number 1 cylinder, and I've wound it through its range of motions here, and I have checked it on low cam. That's how much clearance I've got before it hits the piston at top dead center. Same with the inlets here. Quite a lot of clearance there between the valve and the piston, and then I've also put a screw in the end of the, poppet valve there to lock it onto high cam. I've locked both the inlet and exhaust onto high cam and run it through its motions, checking it every few degrees of revolution, and nowhere during its revolution is it hitting the piston, and there is a point where it gets quite close, but there's still 2 or 3 mil worth of valve clearance to piston at its smallest gap. So I'm really happy with that. That means I can order some head gaskets and bits and bobs, put this thing together properly, put all my valves in, put everything on properly, and we will have an engine that can be bolted together and be done with for now, and prove that the engine can run and work properly. And then once it's been proven, I'm going to build a high horsepower version. I've got another couple of sets of heads, and I'm going to do the old forged pistons and rods, and do a high horsepower version. This one will be running as low power as it can possibly make, because it's like I said, a 200,000 k block and nothing's been touched. Probably an old smoky block, who knows. But yeah, so that's it. So it's getting late in the day. I'm going to finish up here, have a bit of a tidy up, and all the fun stuff will start once I get some bits and start piecing this together properly. But I'm over the moon with it. And this is part 1 for the engine build, and I'm sure there'll be a few more to go. Alright then, we'll see you later. See ya.